what's up, you guys? I'm Anne Richmond, aka Hearthsinger, the head bard in charge around these parts, and today I'm going to be reviewing the Star Empires Compendium from Legendary Games. The Star Empires Compendium is focused on establishing colonies, building infrastructure, and expanding your empire across the galaxies. This is a third-party rule set for Starfinder, so it is not published by Paizo, and you will actually see a little bit of crossover with some of the themes in the Starship Operations Manual. But they give you a new and different flavor, if that's your thing. One such area to look at for that is their Invoker crew role for Starship Combat, which is another option for Magic users that does operate a bit differently from the Magic Officer. And of course, their rules for building fleets, which you can also find rules for from Paizo. I'm actually on a Starfinder actual play podcast called Starfound. We put out 2 podcast episodes weekly on Anchor, and we are also recording our episodes live on Twitch for you to enjoy.
It is unfortunately much more complicated, much more convoluted.
Are you not a real unicorn?
Part of me is.
Cries.
And then she goes, there's a long pause and she goes, which part? So please come by Thursdays at 7 p.m. Eastern if you want to be part of our legendary adventure. For a few years now, our story has been very focused on building a colony that is outside of the Pact Worlds and, of course, discovering the pre-gap mysteries that are unveiling themselves before our eyes on the various planets in this system. So you can see with our specific brand of Starfinder content why I am so gung-ho about reading this rule set. Since the beginning, our GM on Starfound has been helping us use build points to create our colony, but here in this book, it gives you a whole system for doing just that. So I was really excited to see how it would work. And honestly, their Empire turn sequence generator is perfect because we revisit how our colonial developments are going about once a month. So going through this turn sequence would just give it a little bit more gravitas and control. So it's really whatever you want for your table, but this is an excellent tool if you want some balance to the process. During this Empire turn sequence, you're going to be spending build points and taking actions that are going to help you establish your economy, your loyalty, your stability, your unrest. So in your first round of Upkeep, you're going to be modifying the scores that came in from your last round. Now, this is where you're going to be determining stability with skill checks. You'll be paying consumption costs in case you had to spend any money on building or facing obstacles in your empire during this time. And you'll also modify your unrest score. It might go up towards stability, or you might fall into complete and utter chaos right here at the beginning. Only time will tell. Once you know where you're starting, it's time to assign leadership roles. These can be occupied by player characters or assigned to NPCs in your cabinet. These roles are a bit like Starship crew positions in that they allow you to add bonuses or penalties to various checks and final scores for the next round. This is also the time we're going to be spending build points to claim new colonies, or if you've fallen into unrest and you have to get rid of a colony, you'll be able to abandon it at this time. Now you know who's in control, what you have to work with. It's time to create colonies, develop their infrastructure, create holdings, and also you're going to work around various terrain challenges, which I thought was pretty cool because obviously there are some planets where the environment is going to be quite hostile to develop a colony on, and then others where it would be a lot easier. Much of these first few phases is totally in the hands of the players. The next part is in the hands of your GM, because they're going to be rolling for different events on a table. You might find that there's been fantastic weather and the harvest is going to be good, or you might find there have been scientific discoveries or rampaging monsters or plagues. And lastly, you're going to have to announce to your citizens how you plan to spend the next turn sequence. What is the focus going to be? Are you going to be working on expanding armaments, sending holiday celebrations across all of your holdings, or are you going to be working on agriculture or raising taxes, lowering taxes? All of that needs to be set at various levels, and that's what you take into the next turn's upkeep round. I should say, in my particular game, I like planning, and I'm playing a pretty politically minded character, but I know that that's not for everyone. And one of the things that I think is so cool about this particular part of the compendium is there are so many options if you feel like your character wasn't built for a life in politics. While they do, of course, have roles for a ruler, an ambassador, a chief justice, there are also rules for a chief technologies general, for the head of security, the high priest, there's a magister, a space warden, even a spy master. So there's going to be something for everyone. That's kind of a lot to build from nothing into something, which I suppose is kind of the point. But if you're a GM who's looking to build out an already established colony, you can just pick one of the preloaded ones in the book. They have plenty of options for you, and that can also be how your characters start. They can start with something in the book and rise to power or fall to horrific failure from there. That's up to them. We've already touched on the fact that there is some crossover between the subject matter in this book and what you are going to find in the Starship Operations Manual published by Paizo, but these are really just giving you more options for expansion bays, hull types, sensors. My personal favorite parts were in the Starship Weapons Properties section. They have one that is called the Beacon, where if you shoot a ship, you could teleport to the thing that you've targeted, or there's anchoring ammunition that will allow you to reduce the movement and flexibility of larger starships that you're facing. And lastly, my personal favorite, biocidal weapons that pretty much only deal damage to living creatures. So you can shoot a ship and it will get rid of all of the living organic creatures on board, leaving the ship unscathed and ready for piracy. Haha! There is a rather chonky section on mass combat that is well worth your time. If you are someone who wants to have these large battles on the ground, this provides a lot of rules for building those armies up, tactics that you can use to control and command them, and create these kind of large epic battle scenes. You can use build points to create your own custom battalions with different abilities, or if that's a lot, which it is for some people because the crunch in Starfinder is already quite real, it does come with pre-made battalions that you can purchase as well. In this book, Mass Warfare has its own turn sequence and feels a lot like the characters primarily are operating as commanders with a sort of top-down POV. And in that way, it feels a little bit like Starship combat. It does, however, make suggestions for how the characters and their personal abilities could affect what's going on the ground, or how you could zoom into various skirmishes where the characters are doing traditional combat on the ground as well. When it comes to moving your armies around and getting them to perform different operations, they use tactics, and the way it's described in the book made me feel sort of like those operate the same way the piloting phase does in Starship combat. And I should state that terrain matters, so where you're fighting is going to affect the statistics of the various battalions that you have. The whole mass battle and fleet building section of the book is very chonky, and I do want to say that I think if you're someone who doesn't like Starship combat in Starfinder, and yes, there are those people, then this might not be for you, because this definitely feels like more of that kind of thing. But if you are looking for some way to structure these kind of really difficult scenes to encapsulate with stats and make the characters feel like they have a little bit more control and guide them as to what choices they actually can be making, this could be really, really great for your table. But wait, there's more. In this book, they have added more options for Starship scale monsters. And all I want to do is just like fight a dragon in a starship, and I don't think that's too much to ask. All in all, if you're interested in moving your game beyond the Pact Worlds and into undiscovered territory, this is a pretty incredible get, and it's available through Drive-Thru RPG right now. I'll put the link in my comment section below so you can check it out. Honestly, I want to know what you guys think. I feel like Paizo puts out such incredible work, and yet there are a lot of really useful third-party books available if that's your thing. So what do you feel like is missing from the Starfinder rule set? Tell me in the comments below. Special thanks is, of course, due to Legendary Games. Thank you so much for getting me a copy of your book so that I could do this review. It was a lot of fun to dig into. And guys, I put out new TTRPG videos every Wednesday, so please like this video, subscribe, and stick around. Please, by all means, join me for more Starfinder fun on Thursdays on my Twitch channel at 7 p.m. Eastern. I'm also on there streaming several other days of the week. If you'd like to support videos like this one and the work I do on Twitch, well then, the best thing to do would be to visit my Patreon. I put out new podcasts for them every Thursday, along with several other different rewards for the various tiers. What I do here, frankly, just wouldn't be possible without the support of viewers like you. So thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. In the meantime, get out there and live your quest life. Bye!